I have a theory, but it's not what you think. I kind of have an idea of this strategy that the Sooners are taking when it comes to moving some stuff around in the transfer portal. Now, not all moves were predicted or expected, but I got a theory. Stick around. We're going to talk about that. But first, we got to dive into some of the latest transfer portal moves that we saw, because the transfer portal giveth, and as of today, all it's doing is taking it away. So let's dive into that. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. This video is powered by our partners at BetUS. Check them out. They're hooking up the gamer 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150. The portal ain't been very nice to us right now. While at the same time, I think that there is a plan. Now, I know a lot of you are freaking out. There's been fans losing their minds on the social medias. But again, I have a little bit of a theory as to why we've seen certain movement in the portal. So let's jump into who's in the portal now. And let's dive into kind of a theory that I have that's kind of been running through my mind as of late. So let's look at the first set of portal movements recently. Now, Sooner Nation has had a heavy dose of portal entries as of recent. The most recent one that jumped out to me, you had linebacker Phil Pachotti out of New Jersey in IMG Academy. He entered the portal. Now, this was kind of expected because Phil really hasn't played here in at all. And he's been dealing with knee injuries. He had a knee injury going into last year. He's been in a brace ever since. I believe he's been dealing with rehab and all of that. And it just never worked out. And I mean, he came in here with the size that everyone was excited about, especially for a guy of his caliber. You would like for him to be able to develop and be someone that could end up playing for you. But again, unfortunately, it did not work out. Phil came in here around 6'3", about 240, and he's a big boy. So I kind of expected him, though, to hit the portal because, like I said, we haven't even got the chance to see him on the field yet, dealing with that knee situation. It just never worked out. So that's one of those unfortunates. We hope Phil, finds a nice home, gets a good career going. Hopefully he gets healthy, and he can make that happen. The next one that was expected is quarterback Brendan Zurbrugg. Now, Zurbrugg came in 3-star prospect out of Alliance, Ohio. He came in with Michael Hawkins. He was a part of that 24 class. So he was a true freshman coming in, and that was the class where we took multiple quarterbacks. And I kind of talked about that here on the channel, that I felt like the reason why we went for multiple quarterbacks was to be able to build that depth in the quarterback room, just in case. And with Brendan, there hasn't been a single opportunity, I guess you could say, for him to get on the field. I don't see a path for him to play here at Oklahoma, unfortunately. And so he decided that, I'm going to go ahead and hit the portal, and he made the move. Now, he'll probably go back to Ohio. There's a lot of schools up there that were really after him, so he probably ended up going back home or something. But this one shocked me the most. Brendan Thompson, the wide receiver, decided that Oklahoma was no longer for him, and he hit the portal. The former Texas transfer at wide receiver. I mean, he was one of our consistent guys, 19 catches, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a 54-yard bomb that he caught. And so he was a little burner that we thought hopefully was going to be able to, really be impactful, especially there in the slot with Deion Burks. But he ended up getting hurt a few times, played injured a lot. And so he was a warrior and a fighter, and we thank him for coming. We appreciate him. We appreciate his service. It sucks that we couldn't hang on to him, while at the same time, probably better opportunities out there for him to be able to play, because the Sooners have been heavy in the portal, especially around wide receiver. I've got a few names I'm going to list off to you a little bit later, so stick around and we'll talk about some of those guys that are going to be targeted by the Sooners. But yeah, Brennan hurt. I was really hoping to keep Brennan personally, but transfer portal giveth and it taketh away. But one thing you can do is try to take away from the odds makers, leveraging our partners over at BetUS. Check them out. They're hooking up the gamer. 150% bonus on your first deposit of $2,000. 125% bonus on your second and third deposits by using promo code YouTube150. And we've got our odds up for the Navy game. And right now, Oklahoma is still, even with all this movement, an 8.5 point favorite against Navy. Probably should tell you something there, right? If they feel like an Armed Forces Bowl, Oklahoma's a favorite, there's reasons. And BetUS can hook you up. They also give you gambler's insurance. They'll get you 10% back on your net losses twice a year. So it keeps you in the game. So check them out. 150% bonus on your first deposit of $2,000. 125% bonus on your second and third deposits by using promo code YouTube150. BetUS, where the game begins. And with that, I have a theory. Not like Martin Luther King having a dream, but I had a theory. I have a theory about the movement. So I'm going to put this up here. These are the wide receivers that Oklahoma has seen hit the portal. We have, of course, Brennan Thompson's most recently, Andrell Anthony, Jalil Farouk, J.J. Hester, Nick Anderson, Jaquez Petaway. So, a lot of injured dudes. The two dudes that were your consistent players in Hester and Brennan, because they played the entire year due to all the injuries that we dealt with. And when I look at this, my theory behind this is, if you look at the names, you recognize one thing. The only player on here that was actually recruited here by Emit Jones, Brennan Thompson. Brought him out the portal. Andrell Anthony committed to Oklahoma the same day that Emit Jones was hired, so there's a possibility he did recruit him. But you're also dealing with a lot of guys that are dealing with injuries. Jaquez Petaway was Kel Gundy. Same thing with Nick Anderson. Same thing with Jalil Farouk. You catch my drift? The only one on roster still that was not picked up by Emit Jones is Jaden Gibson. And you can tell that they've built a bond there. And it appears that Gibb is looking to stick it out because one of his close friends is doing a visit here at Oklahoma in Reggie Virgil. But my theory is not that these guys were sent out because they wanted to push them out, but these are guys that Emit Jones did not recruit here. So the quote-unquote loyalty there really isn't with Emmett. Now, he was coaching them up. You saw Andrell Anthony showing up to start the season until he got hurt, and he's just been dealing with injuries like crazy. Nick Anderson's dealing with injuries like crazy. Same thing with Jalil Farouk. Now, Petaway, I'm not sure why you didn't see much more of him, but there could be some other underlying things. I know Brent Venables called him out one day that, he missed practice, but then he was ready to play one week, and he said, you got to practice if you want to play. So there may be some things of growing up for him or whatnot, but I noticed that all 6 of these dudes aren't dudes that Emit Jones had brought in. A lot of them were inherited guys, or the portal guy of Jalil Farouk and Brennan Thompson. I think Brennan's the only one he really brought in. So not to say that Emmett is purposely pushing anybody out, but I see why Emmett would not probably fight them to stay, even though they had a lot of talent. They're not really his dudes, and they're looking for guys to fit specifically in the Arbuckle system. So, as we talked about with Emit Jones, let him cook. Give him some time. Because you still got, the Zions and Kearney as well as Ragin. You still got KJ Daniels. You still got Ivan Carry-On. Manny Choice is coming in. Elijah Thomas is coming in. Jacob Jordan showed up as a great slot guy as a walk-on. You'll also be bringing in some additional, help here in the portal, in which the next theory behind that is I've noticed that we have been going after ginormous human beings. So we got some visitors, and I want to point out those visitors real quick before we wrap up. My boy Colin Kennedy over there, 247, points out that Jaron Bradley, the former Texas Tech and Boston College wide receiver, is on a visit next Tuesday. He tweeted that out. Jaron Bradley is 6'5", 222 pounds, and he played at where? Texas Tech. Who was his wide receiver coach at Texas Tech? Emit Jones. And now that there's a lot of room available in the wide receiver room, the space, he's going after him. You have him. You also have, Isaiah Hunter, the wide receiver out of Cal. He played at Cal. He is a freshman, actually, 6'2", wide receiver out of California. So it appears he is doing a visit. He's down to 3 teams, it looks like. Oklahoma. Well, he's visiting 3 teams: Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and Nebraska. Now, he had 578 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. Good stuff. But the one thing I also want to point out to all of you who's freaking out about these certain players coming through. Now, there's others visiting. There's linemen and stuff. We'll do another video on that so we can actually break down who those players are. But one thing to keep in mind with a lot of these wide receivers, man, as long as they've got production, they're probably going to produce again. I know that Donovan McCulley came in from Indiana. I think he's left, so I'm not sure that he decided to stick around and stay. But they've got additional ones that are coming through that are all in this same range: 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". They're getting big wide receivers, mainly to compete here in the SEC. I guess that's the feeling, is we need some larger guys, because the bigger your guys, the better it is to be able to compete out there on the field, especially because the corners are, pretty sizey in the SEC. So that's one to keep your eyes out for. That's my theory. I think that Emit Jones, not to say that he is purposely kicking people out the door, but I do believe that Emit Jones is focusing on guys that he has potentially coached before and would like to see show up here and be a part of this roster. So tell me what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. How you feel about my theory? Think your boy's crazy? You think I'm off my rocker? Love to hear from you all. You made it this far, like the content, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Would love for y'all to join this family of Sooner fans talking OU football, SEC college football in general. Having a blast doing it. Shout out to BetUS, looking up the gamer. 150% bonus on your first deposit of $2,000. 125% on your second and third deposit of $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150. Awards were won. Make sure you hit that bell notification so that you can get that content. I'm going to drop another video later today. All the awards that we have pulled up so far. Shout out to Danny Stutzman, doing it big. Shout out Jaden Jackson. We'll dive into all of that here in the near future. We'll talk soon. Peace.